Hi, teammates. This is Sean J. McCall coming at you for the next edition of Let's Talk. Super excited to get this one going. So, no further ado, I'm just going to get started. I'm going to bring my guest in and then we're going to get right into it. Krishan, what's up, buddy? Um, Coach John, how you doing? So, there he is, the man, the myth, the legend.
What's going on? What's going on?
What's good? Okay, first off, before we go any further, I have to tell everyone. Okay, so your name is
Duane Morgan.
okay, and how did you come up with the name of Chip Overseas?
Yeah, so Chip is just a family name that was given to me by my
Ah,
siblings. You know what I mean? So that was like a name that I had back in the day. And then obviously overseas, it was just more so locking in on the type of content that I knew I wanted to make, you know?
okay,
Yes,
gotcha. So, can you please just introduce yourself one more time, really quick? Tell
yeah,
tell
man.
tell the people a little about you, and then we're gonna get started.
Yes, sir. My name is Duane Morgan. I go by Chip Overseas. You guys know what's going on, man. Pumping out the best overseas content, best
Yes,
basketball
sir.
content. Former basketball player, current basketball player slash
Mhm.
content creator slash broadcaster. Yes, sir.
Hey, hey, if you playing overseas, you wearing many
Hey,
hats.
listen, you already know how that is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, we're gonna get right into it. Um, I want to really pub what you're doing because okay, I found you like a couple of weeks, but basically like 2 weeks ago. Scrolling and then I came across your page. I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty dope. And so I want to make sure that we get the word out that you're out there and what you do. And so that's why I wanted to have you on to make sure that my teammates, as I call them, that my teammates know what you're doing and give you a follow and support what you're doing. So it's all
100%.
about it's all love from this side.
Appreciate
So basically, we're just gonna get started. I'm gonna ask you a lot of questions. For those of you out there that are watching, if you have a question, then please just throw it in the comment section, and I will be sure to try to get it in there. And or maybe it's something that I'm already planning on asking, but I'll try to get everybody's questions in there if it's not 9,000 of them. So, first question: what inspired you to create Chip Overseas and fill it with overseas content? You being an American, and giving that side of you from an American that's played overseas, and in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, man, I thought that it was there's a you as you know, there's a lot of misconceptions
Yeah.
about overseas basketball. And so when I first started creating the content, it was more so just tapping into the misconceptions that a player might, see on his day to day. And you know how it is, like, treatment by teams, scheduling, game, like how everything is pretty much a misconception. Like nobody really knows how we're living except for us. And
Right.
so I started with, just pushing that kind of content out. And it was more of a diary style content.
Mhm.
And then I kind of made the switch to kind of shedding light on these great international leagues. As you know how great they are, people back home don't really know. When
Right.
you back home and you hear one of your homeboys went overseas, you think that they just fell off of a cliff because you you don't know anything about where they're going. You don't know
Right.
anything about the countries that they're going to, the style of play. You just feel like, yeah, he just went overseas and he comes back in 10 months, and then it's like you get back in tune when he come back. You know what I mean, for those two
Right.
months. So I definitely wanted to shed light on how it actually is to play in these countries. For me, I'm very interested by this topic, and it's also been an avenue for me to connect with guys that aspire to do this as well. I see you do great work on this as well. So it's just about connecting with those dudes and letting them know too, like someone like, putting the spotlight on it. It's like, yo, this is what you want. This is what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is the level that you have to be on. And if you want to get any tips on how to get there, shoot, guys like me and you is more than open to showing them.
Yeah.
So, that's
I
pretty
I
much
gotta
the
say,
motivation
man.
behind it.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I gotta say, man. There's not enough of us, the people that really want to help without like ulterior motives or and especially Americans that have done it because, like you said, unless you've been in our shoes, you have no idea.
100%.
You have zero idea, right?
100%.
And so I think a lot of guys, maybe it's a little bit changing now with social media because people are starting to tell their own stories. I think it's changing a little bit, but there were a lot of gatekeepers back in the
Yeah.
day. You know, they didn't give out too much
Yeah.
information, you know, or they gave out wrong information. I
Right.
know players are still lying about how much money they make,
Yeah.
but okay, that
That
shit happens,
that
right?
that ain't never gonna stop, man.
No, no. So like,
That's
come
never
on,
gonna
dog. You're
stop.
not making 10,000 a month in Liechtenstein. Come on, right? So
Yeah, I mean,
I
part of that too, man. Not to cut you off. Part of that too is people feel threatened by the position at the end. You know what I
right,
mean? Like if you're
right,
comfortable within yourself, then you don't feel any type of way giving the next man, the keys and shedding the light for the next man because you don't like. I'm not threatened by you. You know what I mean? Like I'm not
yeah,
threatened by anybody. So if you really believe in yourself, like you want to give somebody else the best chance they have to make it, and you know
exactly.
what I'm saying? That's gonna add value to you at the end of the day.
Exactly. And that's why I do what I do because I've been there, done that. I'm an old head now. I've seen it all, lived it all. And I think it would be a real shame for someone like me that had the career that I had to just shut up
Right.
and not say nothing and not
100%.
pass on knowledge. I mean, it's crazy how many misconceptions, and that's the next question I want to ask you. It's crazy how many misconceptions there are about overseas hoops. Um, what do you feel is maybe one of the biggest misconceptions that you've run across since you've been playing overseas from people back home?
From people back home,
Yeah.
oh man, there's so many. I think that um I think that I'm gonna keep it on basketball. I mean, obviously we know there's so many. I'm gonna keep it on basketball though. I feel like a big misconception is that, like I said before, guys go overseas and they just fall off a cliff. Like they don't understand like the day-to-day grind, the levels that, you know what I'm saying? Like adapting to the levels and adapting to the styles of plays and adapting to the countries that you play in. Like you can't play the same way in Spain and then go to France and play the same
No,
basketball. It doesn't work like that. So
no.
just the misconception of the actual like complexities and how hard it is to adjust your game to these, because back home, like here back home, people think like, oh, he went overseas, he gonna kill, and
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying, it's not always just that simple. You know what I mean? You're gonna see, you might have one friend that's averaging 30, like you said, in Kazakhstan, West Bubble, whatever, you know what I'm saying, and he's averaging 30, and his homies back home is like, see, that's what overseas is. You go over there and kill,
Yeah.
but in a lot of these places, it's just not that simple,
No.
man. They might not bring you over to kill. They might still pay
Yeah.
you well, but they don't want you to kill. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And you got to kind of fit your game and see where you fit in the grand scheme of things. You got to figure it out at a young, I think, at a young stage in your career, if you want to have that chance to really climb that rank. So you know,
I think one of the biggest ones is first of all that we're all making a ton of money. Like, oh, you going overseas? Oh, you getting that bag. Little do you know, Jimmy is making 350 in the third league in Portugal,
yeah, yeah,
which
yeah,
is not bad. Like, I'm not hating.
yeah,
That's far from what I would do. Everybody got to start somewhere. Everybody got to get a job. If you get a job overseas, hey, that's a big accomplishment because the competition level is crazy right now.
yeah,
But I think like I can say for me when I was younger, people thought I was making like millions. I'm like, no,
yeah,
stop hitting me up for a loan. I'm not, no,
yeah,
I'm not a millionaire. Like,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
and I think that's something that people back home just can't wrap their head around that you're not making NBA money
Right.
unless you are like high level EuroLeague guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's I mean, you can't really fault those people too, because back home,
No,
that's what we know back home. You know what I'm saying? If you
right,
if you if you say you're a pro basketball player back home, that means you're going to the league, and that means you do have those millions. So there's
right,
no perception there. You know what I'm saying? So when people back home feel like that, it's like, all right, man, that's how you feel. Unless we really have a sit down conversation and I break it down to you, you will
yeah.
never change your
But
mentality
even
because
but
you don't know.
even then,
Yeah,
even
yeah,
then, they don't know what it's like
yeah.
with the language barrier. They don't know what it's like having 2, 3 practices a day.
Nah.
That one thing, like having 2, 3 practices a day, that always kills me when players are scared, especially gap year players, say, "Oh, I've been working out. I'm in shape." No, you ain't. You
Yeah.
are not in game shape.
Yeah. Not
You
like
are
not how they want you
far
to be.
from game shape.
Yep.
You are talking about guys that are practicing 2 and 3 times a day. You're going to work, then you're going to the rec league. Y'all ain't practicing like every day. Y'all
Yeah.
practicing every third day. And then you got one game on the weekend. Like, you are not in European or overseas
No.
game shape. I don't
No.
care what you say.
Yeah.
No.
No, 100%, man. Yo, my first time coming to Europe, because I started my career in Argentina,
Yeah.
and Argentina is a little bit different. I'm not sure if you played in South America.
No, but I know the system, yeah.
Yeah, so but it's a little bit different. Like when I first got there were guys on my team that was like, 36. Those
Mhm.
guys practice one time a week. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And the guys that was like 32, they'll practice twice a week. And
Mhm.
then you know what I'm saying? Like, and then the young guys, like we'd have like one practice per day. And it was like
Mhm.
real, not saying that they weren't in shape, but it just was a different level
Yeah.
of commitment. And
Right.
then my first year coming to Europe, it was in La Plata, Spain. And so that's like night and day. Now, good thing for me, like I never had a problem with shape. Like I run
Mhm.
miles in the summer. Anytime somebody asks me how do I get in shape, you got to put the miles on. In
Yeah.
my opinion, people think different things. For me, I get the miles in 2-3 miles a day. So I never had a problem with shape. But the way that they was practicing me, I'm like, yo, I don't get paid enough to be, you know what I'm saying, working
Yo.
like this. Wake up early, practice, come home, eat quick lunch, quick nap, 30. You know how it is, man.
Yeah.
Another
Yeah.
one, so
Then you
it's just
got film. You
yeah, and then
got you
you got
got film before
man,
practice. Yo,
yeah,
no, no,
yeah.
no.
It's treacherous, man.
Um, when you say you first came over when you first came overseas and you were in Spain, um, what was the biggest difference between Latin America and your year in Spain, where you were like, okay, this is a totally different brand of basketball? What was the difference?
The biggest difference was how fast that ball moved and
Mhm.
how less like how minimal. I didn't have a lot of time to process things. Like in Argentina, as the American, back in those days, it's 2015. Back in those days, they give the American the ball, and you have
Yeah,
as much
you
time
got
as
to
you
be a
want to
scorer.
create
You
opportunity.
better
Yeah,
you better be a
yeah.
scorer.
Exactly. You got it. Yeah, exactly. Well, like I always say this story when I was there, man. My first two preseason games, I had like 15 and then like 11 points, and I was, fitting in and everything was cool. But then the next game, I had 21, and like the whole organization changed. Like they started treating me like how they should be treating an American. You know what I mean? And that's when I
Mhm.
figured it out. I was like, oh, I got to get 20 a game here because
Mhm.
that's the only way I'm be like I scored 20, and they was like, oh, do you have food in your apartment? Everything is good. Like you need some money. I'm like, damn, yo, all right, so I see how the program is. Like, it's, what I'm saying? That's how they doing it out here. So, but then when I went to Spain, it's like, all right, you don't have, as much opportunity to score. It's like you got to really play within the system, and the ball is moving fast. So when you do get it, you got to make it a definitive decision right away. And it's like it just speeds you up a little bit, and you just got to be on point with all that stuff. Now, for me, my game, I feel like it fit very well in the Spanish system because I don't want to be dribbling the ball and
Mhm.
creating a one-on-one opportunity for 5 seconds. Like I want to just finish. You pass me in a position, I go and finish it, shoot it, or you know what I mean, the quick drive. And so it kind of ended up being better for me. But when I first got there, I was like, okay, this is it's a little bit faster paced, and also defensively because that ball is moving around so fast, it
Oh yeah,
makes it
you got
harder
to
to
you got to
defend.
move. You
And
got to
you
move.
have to move on the weak side. They don't let you hang out on the weak side.
Mhm.
You got to
Mhm.
come in every time the ball gets swung. You got to run and sprint to the nail, and you know what I mean. So that ball getting moved around so fast defensively, it made it harder to guard guys. You look at the guys; they're not like fast players,
Mhm.
but it made playing defense a little bit harder.
Mhm. Um, like you were saying, like in Latin America, they're not bringing you over to be a glue guy.
No,
No, you're not coming over to no. You are coming. You're a hired gun, and you better get your numbers, or you will be on the first thing smoking. Now,
100%.
when you come over to Europe, for example, though, usually it's spread out. Like the responsibility is spread out. You might have a national team guy on your team. You might have some really high level um, local players
Yeah,
that can take on the load,
right.
and you're not expected to do so much. But you damn sure better be efficient.
Yeah, yeah.
Even if it's spread out, you better be efficient.
100%.
or you're gonna hear that. Who you got? Change, cambio, vexel, whatever language you want to say it in.
Yeah,
You got to get to the bench, homie.
yeah.
Um,
That's a fact.
what do you think are some of the challenges that players face when they come overseas that maybe makes it harder for them and they end up going home? Because for me, what I see is that the people that stay overseas for a longer time are all kind of the same type of people, like the same type of dude, different positions and stuff like
Yeah,
that, but very world open, very friendly. Um, like the hood dude is
yeah,
not
yeah. Tough
lasting
time. Yeah,
overseas,
for
right?
sure, for sure. And
One,
they
two
change.
years, but
Yep.
that hood dude gonna be back at the hood soon,
Yeah.
right? But like, what do you think are some of the challenges that really force people only to play maybe one, two seasons, and then they're like, okay, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like that those cultural differences. You know what I mean? Like those cultural differences are something that a lot of people, if you're not open minded, is
Mm-hmm.
gonna really stagnate you. Like just the simple things of like, I always tell people this, man. You just food, for example, right? Every day, especially if you're in a country where they're providing you lunch, like they're providing you lunch and dinner, you know what I
Right,
mean? They
right,
give you meals, so you have to eat what they offer you.
right,
So even just something like that, if you're the type of dude that's like so closed-minded on his food and everything that he wants, you only want chicken and fries every day, and they don't offer chicken and fries, you're waking up every day and eating food that you can't even fathom, you know what I mean, that you have to
right.
eat. Like I know stories of guys that literally did like skip meals because it's like, what is it? They look at the food, the meal, and be like, yo, what is this? I don't eat that, and they don't eat. You know what I'm saying? You're just not gonna eat. So those types of dudes, something so small as a lunch,
Mm-hmm.
man, I hate waking up every morning and looking at this damn meal. You know what I'm saying? And then now it starts to play in their mind. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? You have one bad game. I seen this happen too, where it's like the dude that's kind of on the verge, he'll have one bad game and break everything mentally. He's like, man, I'm out of here. I can't
yeah,
be here no more.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just those cultural differences. If you're not the worldly, like you said, worldly type of personality where you can really be open minded and say, yo, I didn't grow up doing this, but
But
I don't mind
mm-hmm,
trying it to see, because you don't even know if you like something
mm-hmm.
unless you try it. That's what I always say to people, like, try something at least once before you say and write it off and say, no, this ain't me. You know what I mean? So yeah, that I seen that happen. So I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. You probably see
Yo,
that every year.
I seen somebody get fired over turning his nose up at the food.
Damn, see?
That
That's crazy.
it wasn't like, oh, he didn't eat the food, we're gonna fire him. It wasn't that. He was also not very open. He was like kind
Yeah,
of keeping himself from the group, and
yeah,
then it was like they saw him at a restaurant one time
yeah,
and he turned his nose up at that food. Yeah,
yeah.
they were on the
You
phone
know,
with his
you,
agent like the next day.
you know what's funny? What's funny? So in Europe, I see that more happening in Europe. In Argentina, that's fine. Like when I was in
Really?
Argentina, dude, every team that I played against, they had an American that literally at every meal will have his headphones in at the, you know what I'm saying, like secluded,
Right,
and he
right.
just had his hand folded and just like sitting at the end of every table. And the reason being is like you said, hire a gun. If you doing that and you give us 20, we're fine. Like
Mm-hmm,
we don't say nothing,
mm-hmm,
bro. They don't say
mm-hmm.
nothing to him. I was like, yeah, this place is
But let
crazy.
that drop to
Yeah,
15.
although no, the second it drops to 15, bro, you out of there. Yeah,
Gone.
and then they'll like complain about you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, let's get a little bit about your page again.
Yeah,
What kind of reactions or messages do you get from people that are starting to, I think your page is picking up traction right now,
yeah,
and what kind of reactions do you get from players, old heads, or whoever, just casual
yeah,
fans about what you're
yeah.
producing?
Yeah, I mean, so the reaction has been really, really positive, man. Yeah, big bro, that's my cousin checked in, man. It was good. Well, I go on. So the reaction has been like really good, man. So mainly from older players that is like almost you don't know if they're like put it like this, at the end of their careers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I think those types of people appreciate it a little bit more. Because
Yeah.
really, what I'm doing is I'm just giving free game out to the people that may have no concept of it,
Right.
and also I'm giving it to the European and Australian fans
Yeah.
that kind of want to see how the American looks at it. You understand what I'm saying? So the OG that's like tail end of the career, a lot of them is saying like, yo, man, you know what I'm saying? I
Keep it
respect
up.
what you're doing. I love what you're doing.
Mhm.
Da, da, da. And then obviously you got the fans. They're so passionate about their team. So whenever I highlight a team, they're the
Mhm.
ones, you know what I mean, bigging it up the most and writing my DMs like, yo, man, thank you. I appreciate it for you covering this, da da da. And you know, also I want to say, man, you know, this the Instagram page, I only been at the Instagram page for about 2-3 weeks now. You know what I'm saying? But it originated on TikTok. So
Mhm.
I'm at like 10K followers on TikTok, and I decided to just start to bring it over to Instagram as well. So on TikTok now, that's where it's going crazy. Like I'm getting, you know, so much love, so much reactions
Dope.
from people from all over the world.
Dope. Dope. Um, I've always wondered about other creators, and when I watch your stuff, how do you do that? Like, I'm very basic with my shit, right? I'm a one man show over here. I'm real basic. I got another job, you know.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I'm waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, posting shit.
yeah.
Like, but how do you plan your content, and what jumps out at you at something, and you like, this is what I'm gonna do something about this.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, man, I would say that that's my skill. That's my talent.
Mhm.
Is that I can look at something and I can find the story. I can find what's interesting. You see what I'm saying? Like I can look at a game and find what is a selling point. What is interest? Like what are
Mhm.
people drawn towards? What can I make a story out of? You understand what I'm saying? Like, and that's really it comes natural to me. I can't say that there's a process where it's like, oh, I gotta sit down and plan it. No, it really comes natural. And that's why I was like, you know what? Let me just keep this ball rolling because it's something that was kind of, I don't want to say easy for me, but it's like I can kind of do that like two,
Mhm.
3 times a day. And the reaction, like we said before, the reaction was there too. So I'm like, all right, man, you know, let me just keep it rolling, bro. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
So how do you get you do a lot of like video from games and things like that. How do you get that? Do you like film the TV, or like how do you get your
Yeah. I mean,
content?
it's, you know, there's a number of ways, man. So, you know, I'll say this, there's a couple leagues that tapped in with me, and I have
Oh, dope.
some access to clips that you know what I'm
Okay.
saying everybody might not have access to,
That's dope.
and that's just like those little nuggets that I was given from you know just kind of networking and you know because that's a big as you know that's a huge thing, man.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
as pro hoopers, you know the trick is to meet as many people as you can and leverage your relationships while you're still playing.
Right.
You know, I always say this, current players always sounds better than a retired player. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? A current player, they'll still help you out. They'll still be like, hey man, you
Mhm.
know, I like what you're doing. Let me shoot this over to you. Let me do they want to get active with you. When you're a retired player, you can still get busy, of course.
But it's
However,
different.
you got to
It's
navigate
different.
it a little bit differently. Yep.
Yeah. And it also depends on where you live. If you're a retired player, it also depends on where you're living. Like for me, I'm in
Yep.
Central Europe,
Right.
so I can. I mean, I'm in Germany, and there's a very large basketball network and things like that. So I'm here,
Yeah.
right? There's not too many of me here,
Yes.
guys that stay,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, for you being in the States, do you see any advantage or disadvantage to you being stateside with what you do, as opposed to if you're playing like a current season and you're overseas? Are there anything like that is there for you?
Yeah. I think that for me, the way I look at it is like I see the advantage in everything. So when I'm in Europe, like because there's advantages and disadvantages in both situations.
Right.
Like you said, like it does kind of benefit you to be in Europe because especially if you're making content around European stuff, you can interact, you can collab with people that's already in Europe.
You
And the
don't
other
have to
thing
worry
that
about time zones.
you have to worry about, oh man, the time zones is a killer, bro. Hey, the time zones is a killer, bro. You know what I'm saying? but now I'm back home,
Yeah.
and what I'm doing back home, I'm the only one doing it. So you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the advantage on that side. So I
Yeah.
mean, it just really depends on how you look at it. Definitely, yeah, both sides. you can win from wherever, bro. With this thing that I'm talking to you on right now, man, we can win wherever we are in the world. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's something in the overseas basketball world that maybe doesn't get enough attention?
Um, that doesn't get enough attention. I would say, hmm. I mean, I think I would say there's a couple things. I'll say one. I'll say the medical systems.
Ooh.
Um, so
Ooh.
now it's such a it's yeah, look at that reaction. Y'all know everything about that reaction, yo. So it's such a complex thing because on one end you are how I say this, like you're thankful for free healthcare, and you're thankful for the opportunity to be able to use the team's insurance and all that extra stuff, and you want to rely on the systems that are in place from wherever you at, right? And
But
maybe on the outside looking in, you only looking at it at that from that point of view. It's like, all right, man, you guys well taken care of out there. But then there's a
but
whole another side to it where not only, because think about it from the NBA standpoint, the guys in the NBA don't even trust team doctors because that's not
yeah,
my doctor. That's the
yeah,
team's doctor. That's not my personal
yeah,
physician. That's the team's physician. So
yeah.
they don't even trust their own those doctors, and they're from the same country. So now think about you go into different countries where the doctors are best friends with the presidents, and you know what I mean. The GM is the doctor's cousin, and like it's a whole. You're walking into a system, even though everybody is smiling and telling you everything is great. You're walking into a system is like I don't know. I'm on the defense almost. I'm like I don't trust nobody. So anything that you get out there, even though it's free, you might still have to tap in with the people back home or wherever you from that people that you actually trust and have no invested they don't have anything to gain from your circumstances. So the medical system, man, it's tough, man. And even me as a hooper, my thoughts on it change by the day, bro. Sometimes I'm like, yo, man, I'm in a good position. This is free healthcare. You know what I'm saying? Let me go to the dentist, go to the doctor. I'm gonna talk to the surgeon, talk to this specialist. And on the other hand, I'm like, dang, yo, if I hit him up with something, is it gonna get reported back to the team in a slimy way? And you know what I'm saying? So it's just, man, it's just, it's very complex for basketball players. I'll say that.
I broke my leg 2 months after I came overseas, and this is back in 1995. Oh, these damn balloons. Uh, this is back in 1995, so this is like the stone ages of European basketball. I broke my leg 2 months after I got here. You understand that these fools tried to get me back in the playoffs for the playoff?
Come
I have to say,
bro.
I have to say, I was fortunate. I was
Yeah.
fortunate. I broke my leg. The next day they came in to the hospital. I needed surgery. There was no like, I had needed surgery. It was think Paul George.
Ah,
Okay.
man.
So they came into the hospital room the next day. They said, "Look, we're going to pay for everything. We're going to take care of you. You just got to sign a contract for next season, same conditions, and by next season you should be fit." And then we start. These fools though fired my physio because they said she wasn't getting me ready fast enough. So the team doctor fired the physio. They had me with my Bosnian assistant coach, who was an old dude and on some like Rocky Ford type shit with me, having me jump off benches.
That sounds crazy.
Imo.
I'm.
Yeah, man. And so I had luck in unluck,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I was fourth. They could have just sent me home,
Yeah.
put a band-aid on that and sent me home. So I was fortunate enough in that way. But in the other way, it's like you said, it's like a gift and a curse. One day you're like, oh wow, great. And then the next day you're like, oh damn, this some
Yeah.
bullshit.
Right.
This coach don't know nothing about no physiotherapy. I
Nope.
got a broke ass leg. Of course they have a vested interest in you getting back onto the court as
Exactly.
soon as possible because they're paying you.
Yes.
I understand it,
Yeah.
you know. But that was dog.
Yeah.
I wrote about it in my book. I'm gonna send it to you.
Yeah.
Dog. Anyway, let's get back to you, man. What are your future goals for Chip overseas?
Yeah. So, future goals for Chip overseas, obviously, man, I want to grow the page to be as big as possible. I think that this page, in its current form, has potential to do, good things, man, like really good things. I want to, in the short term, I'm focused on just building the platform. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Interacting
Yeah.
with the people, being a resource wherever I can be, and just kind of getting it to be a real community. You know what I mean? And then in the long term, we'll see. Like I said, I have, a budding broadcasting career. You know what I mean? At the moment, I'm doing college broadcasting for college
Right.
basketball in the States. So
Right.
it's like that Chip overseas is going to merge with the broadcasting. It's like only a matter of time. And I want to see where it goes. I mean, I don't even know where it can go. It kind of depends on the people. It depends on the community. If the community
Right.
is, if there is the right community in place, then I can do those things and to make that kind of fusion a little bit smoother. So
Hmm.
yeah, just continue to build, man. That's it.
Yeah. Hey, I love your stuff, man. So I'm like now, you have like a staple of pages that you really look at every day,
Yeah.
right? I'm like now I got you saved in my
Hey,
favorites, so
let's
I'm making sure
go.
like there's nothing but love for me, dog. Nothing but love.
Hey, appreciate
Um,
that.
through your own basketball journey, and also in the fact of what you do now, what do you think is one of the biggest keys for you to understand the overseas game and be able to transport it to maybe a lot of people that don't know a lot about the game?
Yeah.
How has you, being a player over here, how has that helped you to what you're doing now?
Yeah. That's a great question, man. It really has just given me such a unique perspective. Like if I would have done this without having my career that I had,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, it wouldn't be the same content. You understand what I'm saying? So I had the perspective of, I had the privilege of meeting some really, really interesting people along my journey. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Not even put the basketball aside. Like we're just
Mm-hmm.
talking about human beings, interesting human beings that added to my perspective, made me look at things differently. Not even on the team, like people. I'm talking about. Sometimes I meet fans,
Right.
bro, that put me on to some crazy information. That's like, yo, this is good. Like everybody needs to know this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like everybody needs to know this. And so it's just throughout that journey as a hooper, basketball was like kind of the vehicle. You know what I mean? Like it just
Right.
kind of took me in the rooms that I was brought into, and
Right.
then from there it's like we're connecting as human beings. I think that's the greatest thing about the journey that guys like me and you have been on, is that we use the ball, right? And then once we get to these places, like I didn't look at myself as more than a basketball player until like year 3, bro. I'm gonna keep it 100. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was so
Right.
sure that I was like, yeah, I'm just put
Focus.
on this
Yeah.
earth to be a hooper. You know what I'm saying? I'm 6'6", I'm athletic. Like I need to hoop. I'm a hooper. I'm a hooper. I'm a hooper. And then you start to meet these people, and it's like, dang, you know what? There's things outside of hoops. These people, like we're talking about things that have nothing to do with my performance.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My performance is not tied into who I am as a person in any
Yeah.
capacity. You know what I mean? So, the journey, the people, the coaches. Like I also had great coaches. Like I played with coaches when I played in that year I played in Lev Silver, man. It was like the coach that I played for was like the winningest coach in Spain. You know what I'm saying? Like he had the most wins in Lev Gold and ACB combined, and he was like 48, bro. Rafa San. You know what I'm saying? Because he started
Yeah.
coaching at like 21.
Like, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he
Yeah. I
one of
know what
those
you mean.
like one of those
Yeah.
like whizzes, bro.
Yeah.
And like the guy's basketball brain was insane. And just talking to him every day, I'm like, I learned something new from this dude every conversation. You know what I'm saying? And then when I went to Serbia, um, I played in Serbia, and the head coach was like, he was like that coach, but I got him at the young stages. Like it was his first year being
Right.
an assistant coach, but the dude knew everything
He
about
was
basketball.
good.
For sure, he's gonna be like a partisan coach one day. You know what I'm saying? Like so, it's just the people that I met along the way, got to connect with, and I'm the type of dude, man. I'm a listening Hey, dude, man, I'll be listening, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna ask you some questions. Even you, at the end of this, you interviewing me, I'm gonna interview you because I want to know what you know. You understand what I'm saying? I'm gonna soak in all the game, and it reflects in what I'm producing on the social media.
Exactly. I guess if you never lived a life, you wouldn't understand certain parts of it, and it wouldn't be as authentic.
Right.
Right. I mentor players. I advise players because I lived it.
Yeah.
I can do it because I lived it. I know
Yeah.
what you're going through, and without that, you're just not as authentic,
Nah.
or at least I don't want to say. I don't want to say that maybe someone who didn't have as long of a career as I did could not do this. That's not it. But someone that lived that life for like decades and is still living over here and still that brings a little bit of
Oh,
credibility, I guess, right?
100%.
So
100%.
what you're doing, and you're a young guy and you're social media savvy and everything like that, that can take you mad far.
Or
That can take you
yeah.
mad far. So I take my hat off to you, my man, because um, I think now players have a lot more ability to build their brands. When I was playing, there was no such thing as building your brand. You
Right.
played, you ate basketball, you practice your 3 times a day, and they
Right.
expect you to be there on time and not have outside interest. And
Yeah.
now these days it's much different. So I'm really excited for the next generation of overseas hoopers,
Yeah.
and if they can look up to you and say, "Hey, that guy did it. I can do it too. He's showing me the way," and using social media and all
100%.
that to be a platform and boost your profile.
Yeah.
That
Hey,
helps.
hey, a lot of them started, bro. I see so many rookie players, man, with these social media platforms where they're doing the everyday vlog. This is what
Yeah,
it's year
I
one
couldn't
is.
do it,
I'm
but
like,
yeah,
man, they getting right to it. Yo, they
yeah.
getting right to it.
But I think
Uncle Tevon.
that's dope. That's
Yeah,
so dope that you can show that part of your life, and that's
yeah,
the stuff that people back home don't see. They don't know. They don't
yeah,
get. So that's like I think it's pretty dope that you young guys have kind of taken that and run with it.
yeah,
I like it. I love it.
yeah. And then
Um,
building off of that too, man. One last thing before you get into your next question, man. It's like that's another. You asked me like, how's the reaction been? That's another aspect of it that has been really dope for me. Is like people is reaching out to me on the social media and the branding tip too. You know what I mean? It's
right,
like, yo, I see how you branding your thing, man. You got a nice situation going. Can you give me some tips on how to go about it in my own way, but in that direction? So for
yeah,
me, I'm like, that also was like another way for me to get back the game because yeah, like you said, I mean, I only started the page and the social media thing, like taking it serious for about 6 months. But in 6 months, I was able to build like I said, about 10, 11K followers, and you know what I mean? The ball is rolling. Hopefully it continues to roll. But yeah, it's like I could also kind of give some game back in that way too, because it's such a big part of what we do, man. People don't understand, like, every coach is following your page, bro. That's why I say, like, people be too shy to put their highlights on online. That's for me, it started like that. I was posting my highlights on my page all the time. And back when I was posting the highlights on the page, players would be like, yo, why he posting his highlights, man? Who we think he is? But I understood the game. I knew where everything was going. Everything is online now. Nobody is watching your YouTube. They're not
yeah,
going to your YouTube page first. They're looking at your Instagram first.
yeah,
They're going to see, yo, what's his, you know what I'm saying? They're going to have somebody that looks at everybody's Instagram, make sure that, when you sign, they're going to monitor your stuff and see what you're doing. Everybody always know where you are when you're signed to a team. They're looking at your profile. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I think it starts there. Put your profile, put your highlights on your profile and show the
yeah.
world. Because you don't know who's looking at you, bro. I
You
had so
don't
many
know who.
coaches contact me through social media, man.
Yeah, I had Casey Rivers. He's a former Real Madrid player, Bayern Munich player. He was on Monday, and that's one of the things he said that he really learned early that you never know who's watching you. And in this day of social media, you really never know. And I also, what you just said, as soon as somebody hits me up to talk about my services or what I do, I look at their social media feed. I
Right,
look at their Instagram feed
right.
because that tells me, is this a potential customer or not? Does this person love hoops, or does he think or she think that I'm about to give you the key, just give it to you, right? Like, no, you're
Right,
gonna have to
right,
work,
right.
right? So that's how the world is these days. And I tell people all the time, okay, there are some of you that have a private page or don't have any pictures on your page or stuff like that. Then open up a second
Right.
account with
Right.
just basketball stuff,
Exactly.
with just
Exactly.
basketball stuff.
Yeah.
Get your highlights, get your little 5 minute workout in the gym, put everything in there. And then somebody that looks at it is going to say, oh, wow, this guy takes it serious. But if
Yep.
I look at somebody's profile and they got like the money phone, they on the block, if that's more important, that's what you're showing.
Yeah.
You're hitting me up about a job
Yeah.
or how can I get overseas. But I look and I see that's not really that important to
Yeah.
me, right?
100%.
It is like that. So I got two more questions for you. I know that you're doing other stuff outside of basketball and also social media to help athletes. So you got a pro exposure camp coming up. Can you explain about that and tell the people how they can find it, find out more information and things like that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I have a pro exposure camp coming up. What I don't want too big of a group. I think 10 to 15 is like an ideal number for what I'm trying to do.
Mhm.
And so basically the camp is going to be featuring current pro players who are either currently overseas or fresh out of their overseas market. They're going to be key speakers. They're going to be, it's going to be live streamed. The whole thing is going to be live streamed. And if you want to join, can you write a comment? Can I put it in the comments?
Yeah,
If
you
you
can
want
throw
to
it
join,
in.
just go to this email address. Send your highlights to this email address. Because there's a lot of people that have to go this route.
Yeah,
They have to go the
yeah,
route of the pro exposure camp. I'm sure you hear it all the time, but
yeah,
I get so many people that is like, yo, I didn't go to college.
yeah.
I went to JUCO, but then I dropped out after 1 year. I only played prep high school ball. So it's like, if you guys, want a chance of getting over like this, you can't send tape of you playing in the park. You know what I'm saying? Like
Nope.
that's not a thing. You know what I mean? So if you're in this is how I look at it. If you're in those shoes, then you'd have to be like a diamond in the rough kind of, and get some exposure or have some
Numbers.
connection to an agent, and the agent kind of has to vouch for you, and you're not going to be going to Real Madrid, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to go that route, you have to understand everything that it comes with. So the camp also just gives a lot of game, just like how we just did in this interview. And
Good.
yeah, so the email is right there on the comments thing. It's my first time doing the Instagram live, so it's it's weird for me as
It's
well.
there. It's there.
The email is right here in the
I'll put it in
comments.
the. I'll put it in when I post tomorrow the interview or part of the interview. I'll put it in there.
Okay, perfect. Yes, sir. Yeah. So yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're really excited about that, and we're aiming to do it around March. So we don't have the exact date yet, but send your the highlights, and let's get that at the ground level. The bare minimum. Send some type of highlights, and all right, cuz, and yeah, and we're gonna get it rolling.
Okay. Last question. It's not a question. It's more of a request. So this is the part of the show when I ask the guest to nominate someone who you think might be a good fit for this show. So
Oh,
it can be anybody.
my
It
cousin,
can be. You
my
gonna
cousin
throw him
that
in there?
he just wrote this message right here.
Okay. Then we're gonna talk and you let him know that I need people on the show that with a good story and have something to say.
Okay.
And then we'll rock with it.
Yeah, he has a great story, man. He's a former he don't like to brag. I'll brag for him. Former Big East Defensive Player of the Year right here, man. For
Okay.
real.
Then I'm gonna hit him up, and I appreciate you coming on, man. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on. I'm looking forward to seeing you grow, to seeing how you make changes, how you explode. And if there's anything that I can ever do for you, if there's something you want me to post or whatever, man, I'm all for it. You got nothing but love from me, my
Appreciate
man,
that.
and just keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, man. This was great, man. Thank you for having me on. It's all love from me, man.
All
Great,
right, man. Thank you. You
great to
get up
connect with
out of
you.
here, and I will say goodbye to the people that are still
All
around.
right.
So, and I'll hit you up anyway later. I'll hit you up
Okay.
later.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good.
All right,
All right.
later.
Later.
So, everybody, once again, a great episode in my opinion, and I'm very thankful that he came on and explained what he does. If none of you know who he is, just go on Chip Overseas and check out his overseas content. I'm a big fan, and he's just on the rise. So I'm glad I got him now. Then when he's got 150,000 followers and he ain't got no time to come on my show. So I appreciated that. So everyone, this is my second one of the week. Thank you for all of you that stopped through. If you were here for 1 minute or if you were here for the entire 45 minutes, 46 minutes actually. And if you liked it, please come back another time whenever you see that live button on your screen. And yeah, I hope everybody's safe and enjoying life. And I will see you next week. I do have one next week as well. And yeah, if you missed it, I see you. You missed it. Don't worry, it will be on my YouTube channel. Just follow my story tomorrow, and there'll be a link on there for this interview. Just like all the other interviews, I think there's something like 150 interviews on there. So yeah, that's it from the old head right now, and I look forward to seeing you all next week when I'm back on. Until then, bye.